Jay Washington here. We're still at LA Comic-Con, and I'm going to just be real. I try to be professional and start these out. Before I started this whole interview, I was fanboying out because this man has been a part of my life since the 90s. You know what I'm saying? I'm going back to Mad TV when he was the UBS guy. You know what I'm saying? He was there. Marv got his brains blown out in Pulp Fiction. Do you understand? Been in episodes of Living Single, like to Static Shock, to the Green Lantern, Samurai Jack, Hermes from Futurama, currently Hero on Masters of the Universe Revelation. He was in the live action version of Supergirl as John Johnson's brother. He has done so much that I am honored to speak to the one and only Mr. Phil LaMarr.
Thank you, Jay. And especially thank you for only watching the good stuff.
Oh, man,
look, I appreciate that.
Let me tell you something. I could have went down. Look, you got about your IMDb has a lot that I could have went there. But no, how does it feel knowing, again, you seem so humble every time someone just praises your work. And you're like, man, it's the work. You even told me, you was like, I didn't write it, I just do it.
Well, I mean, because that's the thing is, I have to acknowledge the fact that the stuff that people love is mostly not my creation. I contributed to it, but I've been lucky enough to work with some amazing writers, creators, Genndy Tartakovsky, Bruce Timm, Dwayne McDuffie, Quentin Tarantino, like people who make great stuff. And the thing is, the best way to look like a great actor is have a great damn script.
Yes, it is. I mean, because if the script is terrible, no matter how good of an actor you are, we're like, yo, he could have, the script was, it was ass. Like, right, you don't want to say that. But it's just amazing, again, generations of people know you. And there are more generations still learning about you and your career. You have become an imprint in not just pop culture, but Black culture.
Thank you.
And again, I say that as a Black man who is also a Black comedian, a Black actor, a Black voiceover artist. You are one of the pinnacles we look up to.
Wow.
How do your children feel about, you know what I'm saying? Dad is this dude.
Well, it's funny because my kids are not nerds.
Okay.
So for years, they were not interested in the stuff. I would come to conventions and I'm like, I can't find no things for here that my kids want. You're like, y'all have any soccer balls? Nope. But over the last few years, as all this geek culture has gone mainstream, especially for Black folks.
Yes, it is.
Because when I was growing up, this whole, I have friends who are like, yo, man, you were the original Blur. And like, that wasn't a thing. If you were a nerd, you weren't Black.
You weren't
back
Black.
In my day.
Let me tell you something. I'm from the South Side of Chicago. I'm born in the 80s. I'm aged myself a little. But I was one of the few nerds and geeks in my neighborhood that people were like, you reading this weird stuff? Right.
You reading it all. Look at him over there in that corner with his books.
Look at him all there reading his colorful comics and everything, drawing Mario Brothers. And like you said, now it's becoming the mainstream.
Yeah, and it's becoming diversified.
Yes.
The fact that, not only are Black folks allowed to be watching anime and cartoons and comic books and stuff, but now we're contributing and we're making it.
And we're making it.
Well, although it's funny because, Dwayne McDuffie was a friend, Dennis Cowan, when they created Milestone in the 90s, people forget how much of a breakthrough that was.
Yes, all of the Dakotaverse.
Right.
People do not think about that.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, here are comic books with Black and Latino and Asian characters as the leads, not just number 7 on the
call sheet. And number 7 to 17 on the call sheet. We talk about numbers 1 and 2.
Right.
And that's the thing. Again, pop culture and geek culture, they've merged.
Yep.
And they've transcended what I think anybody's imagination would have ever been.
Right.
I think no one would have ever imagined saying right here in 2021, man, the Comic-Con, right, we're just going to see a bunch of random Black people dressed up as anime characters. And people just look at them and think, that's dope, that's cool. But that's what we have. And I have to ask the question, you were going into live action, you were doing a lot of acting, again, TV, film, and then all of a sudden, this transition into voiceover and this explosion. How does it happen?
Well, it's funny because it was not something that I expected to happen. And although when I look back on it now, it kind of makes sense. My very first professional job ever was a cartoon. When I was in high school, a friend of my mother's got me a job on the Mr. T cartoon on NBC on Saturday mornings.
Wow.
And that got me my union card.
Okay.
Now, it's funny because I didn't think of it as, oh, I'm a voice actor. Because back then, voice actor wasn't a job description.
Right. You're still an actor, right? No matter what, you're still an actor.
So I got that and then didn't think of it. That was just my summer job.
Wow.
But then years later, I started doing improv in college, and then I came to LA and started pursuing acting, did the Groundlings, was doing comedy, was doing sitcoms. I got to work with, Red Fox, Carol Burnett, George Carlin, and then I got onto Mad TV, and I started creating my own characters. But what happened was Mad TV, we did those claymation pieces.
Yeah,
and I started getting my mic time again.
Okay.
And then when, towards the end of Mad, I started saying, let me try to get one of these voiceover jobs. And I started working on Futurama, Static. And all of a sudden it blew up. And after, a year or two after I left Mad TV, I was making more money in cartoons than I was on Fox Late Night.
I think people, and that's the thing, people don't know if you're good at what you do in the voiceover world, it is a very lucrative career. And again, starting out is one thing, but you being someone who started out and at the point where you are, you're like, it's got to be this amount or I'm not even waking up.
Well, but see, that's the funny thing about it. It's not voiceover is not a big money, because most of us, no matter what level you're on, you make union scale.
Wow.
Even after 20 years, that job's a scale job. I remember the first time I got to work with Frank Welker. Frank had been the voice on Scooby-Doo since 1969.
Right.
And he and I were doing a cartoon. He's making the same money as me. But the thing is, Frank had 20 times more jobs than me.
Okay.
So in VO, you make it in volume, not in money. But the good thing is, because it's not a big money thing, nobody's making $20 million, nobody's getting paid enough to put up with somebody else's BS. So that's why it's all like it's a village. It's nice people. It's people you want to share a room with.
Yeah.
Because if you come into a VO session, you're like, they're like, yeah, he ain't coming back next week. Whereas in movies, they're like, oh, I know, he's really terrible. But
he'll just be in his trailer for like 10, 20 minutes. He's got to cool down.
Exactly.
He's going to just stop production on everything.
Nope, that doesn't happen in voiceover.
Let me ask you, if you had to choose, because you've had such an immense career in both, voiceover or live action, which one would you choose?
Well, actually, what's funny? I choose good scripts.
That's the best answer you can give, ladies and gentlemen. Good scripts. Nobody.
Because the thing is, things that are well written are their own genre.
Yes.
Like to me, Pulp Fiction has more in common with Samurai Jack than it has with some of the crappy indie films I made in the 90s. Because you're working with amazing creators who have a vision and who are encouraging you as an artist to contribute to their vision. As opposed to somebody's like, I just had this script here, do it. That was good, next. Which, when stuff is bad, it's bad no matter what it is.
No matter what it is.
A cartoon, a movie, a sitcom. But when it's great, it's its own thing.
It's funny you bring that up. So you and I both have worked with a legendary actor in Samuel L. Jackson. I'm in Spike Lee's Chirac. I'm going to drop that real quick. The reason I bring that up is because the reception of the film is split. But people looked at the script and was like, whoa. And other people were like, I don't get it. And so it's one of those situations. So it was weird when you bring that up. But I have to get ready to wrap this up, and I have to ask you one quick thing. Do you have family members or friends who are like, can you record my voicemail message for me?
Actually, not so much, because in my family, I'm the least interesting person in my family. I'm the last person that anybody in my family thought would be into acting.
Really?
Because you hang out with my family, we doing a 2-hour, modeling show, and everybody else is louder, funnier, faster than me. Phil would just be sitting over in the corner with his books.
Well, I'll be damned. Listen. I wish I could talk to you for hours on end. I would pick your brain and learn so much about you. But before we go, I would love for you to look into the camera, give any aspiring voice actor, live action actor, a black actor, what words of encouragement would you give them, and tell the people how they can find you?
Ooh. All right. The words of encouragement are tough because it applies to acting, to music, to any creative endeavor, is find your voice and keep pushing forward in a way to put your voice out there. Although nowadays, y'all got a lot of different ways. Like, I can put my voice on TikTok. Back in my day, you had to go find some billionaire running a studio who would hire you to be able to say your voice. But keep moving forward. Don't just, if you find something that somebody on Twitter likes, don't stop there. Keep growing. Keep pushing your art. And as far as where you can find me, at Phil LaMarr, 2 L's in the middle, 2 R's on the end. That's Instagram, Twitter, whatever. And PhilLaMarr.com.
All right, y'all. Thank you once again to the legendary and iconic Phil LaMarr for that hashtag show here at LA Comic Con.